Hi, greetings to you all. I am Dr. A. Venkatnarayana, Associate Professor, Department of Biotechnology, Vignan Foundation for Science, Technology and Research, deemed to be University. Today, I would like to discuss about the multiple reactions. Objective to familiar with multiple reactions and the determination of product distribution for the multiple reactions. And outcomes of this topic are determine the product distribution in parallel, series and combination of series parallel reactions, estimate the heat of reaction for given reaction, and analyze the effects of temperature and pressure on the multiple reactions, develop the design equations for non-isothermal reactions. These also called as the adiabatic operations. Contents of the today's topic are introduction, product distribution in series, series parallel and parallel reactions, heats of reaction, temperature and pressure effects on the multiple reactions, design equations for non-isothermal reactions and adiabatic operations, followed by summary. So, first one, introduction, the multiple reactions. Multiple reactions are majorly classified into the three types. Generally, the series and parallel reactions, when you consider the combination of these two, that also considered as one more type, total that means the three types. But here mentioned two types. First one is the parallel reactions, the second one is the series reactions. We discussed already about these units in the first unit. Okay. In this, we are going to discuss the size requirement, that is the volume of the reactor required, and the product distribution and distribution of the products within the multiple reactions are affected by the patterns of the reactants within the vessel. So, here when you vary the contacting flow patterns of the reactants within the reactor, we can vary the product distribution within the multiple reactions. So, that is, we can maximize the formation of the desired product and we can minimize the formation of the undesired product. And also with help of this one, by varying the contacting flow patterns of the reactants, we can vary the size requirement for the reactor. We can minimize the volume of the reactor required. Sometimes we can increase the volume of the reactor, but if you are able to decrease the volume, we can minimize the cost of the reactor design. And also you already know that series reactions, first one A2R and R2S, and parallel reactions simultaneously from A we can get R. So, here next one, qualitative discussion about the product distribution in parallel reactions. So, here we have the parallel reaction. From A we are getting R and from A simultaneously we are getting S. Here assume in this R is the desired product and S is the undesired product, and A2R reaction is taking place in the presence of rate constant K1 and A2S reaction is taking place in the presence of rate constant K2. Okay. So, here in these multiple reactions we have two products R and S. So, based on these two products you can write the product distribution. The product distribution, it is always defined as the rate, it is the ratio of the formation of desired product to the ratio of, that is, formation of undesired product. It is always defined as the product distribution, always defined as the ratio of the formation of desired product to the ratio of the formation of undesired product. So, here before you find out the product distribution, write the rate of formation of R equation. So, here this is the rate of formation of R, this is nothing but the concentration change of R with respect to the time. Earlier I already said that whenever you find out the rate of the formation of the product, this is always the product of two terms. First one is the rate constant K1, the other one is the rate concentration of the reactant Ca. So, here we have the power A1, this is the order of the reaction. Similarly, write the rate of formation of S. Rate of formation of S also dCs by dt, that is the concentration change of S with respect to the time. This is also product of the two terms K2 into rate constant into the concentration of the reactant. Okay. You already know that from A2R reaction we have the rate constant K1 and A2S reaction rate constant K2. So, based on this parallel reaction, after writing the rates of formation of R and rates of formation of S, now find out the product distribution equation. The product distribution equation is nothing but, here this is always the formation of the desired product to the rate of formation of undesired product. Here RR is the rate of formation of desired product and RS is the rate of formation of undesired product. From this one here RR earlier we wrote as dCr by the dt and RS here we wrote as dCs by dt. Here dt becomes cancelled, finally you can obtain dCr by dCs. Again here dCr by dCs, that is nothing but before you write the dCr by dCs, dCr by dt is k1 Ca to the power of a1, this can be written as k1 Ca to the power of a1, and here dCs by dt is k2 Ca to the power of a2, Ca to the power of a2. In this next step, write this k1 by k2 written as it is, and take denominator Ca to the power of a2 to the numerator, that becomes Ca to the power of minus a2. Already we have the numerator Ca to the power of a1, you can write Ca to the power of a1 minus a2. So this is the final product distribution equation. Final product distribution equation is RR by RS is equal to rate of formation of desired product to the rate of formation of undesired product equal to k1 by the k2 into Ca to the power of a1 minus a2. So here a1 is the order of the desired reaction, that is A2R reaction, R is the desired product, small a1 is the order of the desired reaction, and small a2 is the order of the undesired reaction. So here the order for A to S reaction order is A2. So S is the undesired product, that is the undesired reaction. So here A1 is the order of the desired reaction, that is the formation of R reaction, and A2 is the order of the undesired reaction, that is the formation of S reaction. So from this one, after writing RR by RS equal to k1 by k2 into Ca to the power of a1 minus a2, so here our target is we need to maximize the formation of R and we need to minimize the formation of S. Further, how can you maximize the R and how can you minimize the S? It depends on the A1 and A2 values, the order of the desired reaction and order of the undesired reaction. So here this consists of A1 minus A2. Now take the different cases. First consider the case 1, if A1 is greater than A2. If the order of the desired reaction is greater than the order of the undesired reaction. So when you consider A1 is greater than A2, generally what happens? A1 minus A2, A1 minus A2 is positive. A1 minus A2 is positive. So when you consider A1 is greater than A2, A1 minus A2 is positive. When A1 minus A2 is positive, here RR by RS equation can be written as RR by RS can be written as K1 by the K2 into Ca to the power of positive, Ca to the power of positive. So here that means to maximize the formation of desired product R, how will be the Ca value? Whether Ca should be maintained high within the reactor or Ca should be maintained low. Since Ca power is positive, since Ca directly related to the formation of R and inversely related to the formation of S, so here the Ca should be maintained high to maximize the formation of the R, to maximize the formation of R. So in which reactor we can maintain Ca high? If you want to maintain the Ca high can be maintained in the PFR and also Ca high can be maintained in the batch reactor. Ca values cannot be maintained in the mixed flow reactor or CSTR, continuous stirred tank reactor. So here says that the desired reaction is of higher order than unwanted reaction, that is undesired reaction, shows that a high reactant concentration is always desirable or required since it increases the R by S ratio. When you increase the R by S ratio, automatically the formation of R increases and formation of S decreases. And also as a result, a batch or plug flow reactor would favor the formation of the product R, that is the desired product R. The R is the desired product. This always favors the formation of desired product, and also would require a minimum reactor size. So if you want to maintain the high Ca, when you maintain the high Ca, we can always increase the formation of R and we can minimize the formation of S, that is undesired product. So for that, the favorable reactors are batch reactor and the plug flow reactor with the minimum size of the reactor or with the minimum volume of the reactor. Similarly, now this is the case for the if A1 is greater than A2, if the order of the desired reaction is greater than the order of the undesired reaction. So now take the second case. Second case, if the desired reaction order is less than that of the undesired reaction order, if A1 is less than the A2, so generally what happens? If A1 minus A2, then A1 minus A2 becomes A1 minus A2 is negative. So when the desired reaction order is less than undesired reaction order, A1 minus A2 is becomes a negative. Then the product distribution equation becomes RR by the RS equal to the K1 by K2 into Ca to the power of negative. Ca to the power of negative. So, for when the Ca power is negative, suppose to maximize the formation of R and to minimize the formation of S, Ca value should be maintained low. Whenever you maintain the Ca value should be low, then only what happens, Ca directly related to the Rs. So, when you maintain Ca low, Rs also we can minimize the formation of Rs and also we can maximize the formation of R. Why? Because when you maintain the Ca power is negative, automatically the Ca is directly related to the Rs and Ca is inversely related to the formation of R. So, automatically when you maintain Ca high, the rate of formation of the R is low. When you maintain Ca low, the rate of formation of R is maximum, that is desired product is maximum, and simultaneously when you maintain Ca low, automatically the formation of S is minimum. So, here for this the favorable reactor is the continuous stirred tank reactor or mixed flow reactor is always favorable to maintain the low Ca. So, here the desired reaction is of lower order than unwanted reaction. We need a low reactant concentration. A low reactant concentration always favors the formation of R. This would also require the large size mixed flow reactor. Large size mixed flow reactor. To maintain the low concentration of the reactant, the MFR is the best reactor. That means it always maintains the low concentration because of the highly mixing conditions within the MFR. So, here for this to maintain the low concentration of A, the mixed flow reactor is a favorable reactor to maintain the low concentration of A, so that we can maximize the formation of R and we can minimize the formation of S. For the desired reaction order is less than the undesired reaction order. And third case, if A1 is equal to A2, if the order of the desired reaction is equal to the order of the undesired reaction, when two reactions are of the same order, then rate of the product distribution equation becomes RR by Rs equal to rate of formation of R by rate of formation of S equal to K1 by K2 into Ca to the power of A1 minus A2. This becomes 0 and Ca to the power of 0 becomes 1 into K1 by K2 that equal to K1 by K2. So, in this case when the two orders are same, that means the rate of the product distribution does not depend upon the concentration of the reactant, does not depend upon the concentration of the reactant. When this is not depending upon the concentration of the reactant, and also this will not depend upon the type of the reactor used to maximize the formation of R, to minimize the formation of S. Okay. So, in this case product distribution is unaffected by the type of the reactor and also the concentration of the reactant. And also sometimes we can vary the product distribution by changing the catalyst and also temperature of the reaction. So, last point, we may control the product distribution by varying the value of K2 by K1, the K2 by K1 rate constant, these are the major functions of temperature. By changing the temperature also we can vary the K2 by K1, that affects the product distribution, varies the product distribution. And also we can, by using the catalyst also, by changing the catalyst also, we can vary the product distribution. Okay. And here this is the qualitative discussion about the product distribution for parallel reactions to maximize the formation of R and to minimize the formation of S. On conclusion, reactions in parallel, the concentration level of the reactant is the key and important to control the product distribution. A high reactant concentration always favors that means the formation of the desired product of higher order, and a low reactant concentration always favors the reaction of lower order. And also well the concentration level has no effect for the product distribution for reactions of the same order. Reactions of the here these are the contacting flow patterns of the that means the reactants to maintain high and low concentrations within the non-continuous reactor. Non-continuous reactor is nothing but batch reactor. Suppose in batch reactor, if you want to maintain, suppose when you take the two reactants, suppose if you want to maintain both as high concentrations, this is the favorable contacting pattern. To maintain both Ca and Cb high within the batch reactor, we need to take the empty reactor, for that add A and B fastly together into the empty reactor with high flow rate, so that we can maintain high Ca and high Cb within the reactor. To maintain high Ca and high Cb within the batch reactor, take one empty batch reactor. For that, add A and B fastly together. That means with high flow rate, so that we can maintain high Ca and high Cb. And also to maintain both Ca and Cb low within the batch reactor, that is the non-continuous reactor. And that means here take one empty reactor. For that, add A and B slowly. Add A and B slowly, so that we can maintain low Ca and low Cb. This is for maintaining low Ca and Cb within the batch reactor. Sometimes here to maintain the high Ca and low Cb, now take the initially within the batch reactor, take the bulk A into the batch reactor. For that bulk A, add B slowly. When you add B slowly, automatically we can maintain the high Ca and low Cb. To maintain high Ca and low Cb, initially take the bulk A or large amount of A within the batch reactor. For that, add B slowly, so that we can maintain high Ca and low Cb. And sometimes there is a fourth case also, to maintain the low Ca and high Cb. How can you maintain? This is exactly reverse to this case, third case, low Ca and high Cb. So initially take the bulk B into the reactor. This is the B, and you add A slowly. When you add A slowly, so that we can maintain the high Cb and low Ca. This is the fourth case. So these are the different contact and flow patterns of the reactants within the non-continuous reactor to maintain high Ca Cb and to maintain the low Ca Cb, and to maintain one reactant as low, the other reactant as high, otherwise one reactant as high and other reactant as low. Similarly, these type of the contacting patterns are also available for the continuous reactors. The continuous reactors are nothing but flow reactors. The continuous reactors are nothing but flow reactors. So the best example for the flow reactors are the plug flow reactor and mixed flow reactor. So in plug flow reactor and mixed flow reactor, to maintain the high CaCb and low CaCb, and one reactant as high, the other reactant as low. First we will go to the this one, to maintain Ca and Cb both high within the continuous reactor, that is nothing but flow reactor. So for that, first consider the plug flow reactor. This is the PFR. To maintain high Ca and Cb, pass A and B continuously with high flow rate into the PFR. Pass A and B continuously into the PFR with high flow rate, and also the PFR is very low mixed reactor. Even though if you pass the that means the reactants into the reactor with low flow rate or medium flow rate, there will not be any mixing within the PFR. There further maintains high concentrations within the PFR. So both Ca and Cb becomes high. Like this we can maintain high concentrations within the PFR. Again, to maintain the high concentrations of A and B within the MFR, in single MFR not possible because of the highly mixing conditions within the MFR. When you send the reactants with high flow rate into the MFR, because of the highly mixing conditions, both reactants mixes with each other and reacts with each other, immediately produces products. Its concentration immediately drops to low level and further it maintains constant. But our condition is to maintain high Ca and Cb. So maintaining high Ca and Cb within the single MFR mixed flow reactor is not possible. For that we need to take the series of MFRs. Here he has taken the series of MFRs of equal size taken in series. So here we are adding A and B moderately or fastly, so that we can maintain, first here we maintain certain low concentration here, this combines with here some more concentration, later here combines with some more concentration. Finally its concentration keep on rises. Both Ca and Cb maintains high. Maintaining Ca and Cb in single MFR with high concentration is not possible. For that here we have taken the series of MFRs. Next one, to maintain Ca and Cb low. Maintaining Ca and Cb low within the single PFR is not possible. Within the single PFR, this case is not possible. This case is not possible. Why? Because the PFR is low mixed condition. Even though when you send the reactants with medium flow rate, that means because of low mixing condition, there further maintains high concentration. So this is not possible. But here in MFR, single MFR is possible, maintain low Ca and Cb. When you add the reactants with the high flow rate, that means the concentration becomes high, and also because of mixing conditions, immediately we can have reaction between the reactants. Immediately the product produces and its concentration further drops to low level and further it maintains constant. Okay, this case is possible, but in maintaining low Ca and Cb, PFR is not possible. And third one, maintaining high Ca and low Cb. Maintaining high Ca and low Cb, To maintain high CA and low CB within the PFR, first send the A into the PFR with high flow rate, so it maintains CA high, and if you want to maintain the low CB, add the CB from the walls of the PFR at different lengths of the along the length of the PFR, at a different points along the length of the PFR, so that we can maintain high CA and low CB. Suppose if we along with A also, if we send the B, again it maintains high CB. So to maintain the low CB, we need to add the B at different points along the length of the PFR, so that we can maintain high C and low CB. And also to maintain high C and low CB in single MFR also not possible. Single mixed flow reactor also not possible. Similar to the first case, we need to take the series of the MFRs, but with a different pattern. So here first add A fastly into the first reactor, at each reactor add B slowly, so that we can maintain high C and high CB. So these are the different contact and flow patterns of the reactants within the flow reactors. This maximize the formation of the desired product and minimize the formation of the undesired product. Next one, yield. Yield, already you know that yield, it is yield is majorly classified into two types: instantaneous fractional yield and overall fractional yield. Instantaneous fractional yield is when the chemical reaction or biochemical reaction is happening. If you are able at any particular time t of the reaction, if you are able to find out the amount of product produced to the amount of reactant or substrate consumed, that is known as instantaneous fractional yield. Instantaneous fractional, we always find out the function of reaction time t. So this we always represent with psi. Psi is equal to dCr by dCA. So R is the concentration of our product produced, and A is the reactant concentration or substrate concentration. This is the moles of R produced to the moles of A consumed. So the instantaneous fractional yield we always find out at any particular time t of the reaction. It is the product ratio of the moles of the product produced to the moles of the reactant consumed. And the next one, overall fractional yield, this we calculate after the completion of the chemical or biochemical reaction. After the completion of the biochemical reaction, if you are able to measure the amount of product produced to the amount of substrate consumed, that gives the overall fractional yield. This we always represent with phi. Phi is equal to all R formed, that is the entire amount of R formed after the completion at the end of the reaction, divided by all reactant consumed. And also, suppose if we are able to find out the instantaneous fractional yield at a different time at a different times of the reaction, if you are able to take the average of all these, that also gives the overall fractional yield. Otherwise, once after the completion of the reactants, if you are able to measure the total amount of product produced to the total amount of substrate or reactant consumed, that also gives the overall fractional yield. Next one, in multiple reactions, especially in multiple reactions, in place of the yield, sometimes generally we use the selectivity. Why? Because the multiple reactions consist of two or more than two products. Among these, some may be the desired one and some may be the undesired one. So whenever the multiple reactions encounters, frequently we use the selectivity in place of the yield. So selectivity is defined as it is the ratio of the moles of desired product to the product produced to the moles of the undesired product produced. If it is single product reaction, selectivity will not be applicable. If it is two or more than two products reaction, automatically the selectivity comes into the picture. Types of the multiple reactions, some of these we already discussed earlier. So here that means in these reactions the product further reacts with other reactants. So first one, series reactions, A2R, R2S and S22. This is the complete series reaction, and this is the combination of series parallel reaction, A plus B2R, R plus B2S and S plus B2T. With respect to ART, with respect to ARST, this is the series reaction, A2R, R2S and S2T. And with respect to the RST, and here this is the parallel reaction. Simultaneously from B we can have R, and simultaneously from B we can have S, and simultaneously from B we can have T. So this in this reaction we can have the series reaction as well as the parallel reaction, both reaction that exists within this one. This is the combination of series parallel reactions. Next one, we can have the Denbigh system of the reaction. So within this series reaction, simultaneously from the reactant and the intermediate molecule, we can have simultaneously the formation of T and U. This is known as the Denbigh system of the reactions. And next one, we can have the the series reactions, but in this case the first one is the reversible one and second one is the irreversible one. So first one A2R, that means first reaction is reversible one, and by disappearance of R we can have the formation of S. This is the irreversible one. This is similar to the single substrate single enzyme reactions. When you consider the single substrate single enzyme reaction, when substrate binds to the active site of the enzyme, we can have the formation of ES complex. So the formation of the ES complex and back formation of E and S, this is the reversible one. By disappearance of the ES to get the product and the enzyme E, suppose when you consider PR the product, this is the irreversible one. In this case, single substrate single enzyme reaction, the first one the reversible one and second one is the irreversible one. So this is the combination of reversible and irreversible reactions, series reactions. Next one we can have the series reaction reversible one. Both are reversible. First step reversible and second step is also reversible. And third one, the network of reversible systems, A2R and R2S and S2A. This is the network of the series reactions. These are different types of the multiple reactions where the product further reacts, and also you can have in all these reactions we can have more than two products. Our target is to maximize the desired one and to minimize the other one is the qualitative discussion about product distribution in series reactions. Now here consider a series reaction A2R and R2S. Here initially from reactant A we can have the formation of R, by disappearance of R produces S. So for each reaction reactive components, here write the rates of the disappearance of the reactants and rates of formation of the products. So first here this is very important to write to predict the concentration profiles of the reaction components with respect to the time of the reaction. So here write assume this first reaction A2R reaction takes place in the presence of rate constant K1 and R2S reaction takes place in the presence of rate constant the K2. So here first write the rate of disappearance of the reactant A. You already know that whenever you write the rate of reaction, this is the product of two terms, that is the rate constant K1 into the concentration of the reactant A, here Ca into K1. So here A is the reactant, its rate is negative. A is the reactant, here its rate is negative. So here Ra is equal to minus K1 Ca. Similarly, now write the net rate of formation of R. Why we can call it as net rate of formation of R? In the first reaction, R is the product A2R in the presence of K1 and R2S in the presence of the K2. So in the first reaction R is there on product side, so rate is positive in the first reaction. In the second reaction R is there on reactant side, so rate is negative. So second reaction rate is negative. So whenever you write that means when you combine these two rates, so here we do not know whether the obtained rate is negative or positive, since the numerical values are not given. Here you can write the rate of formation of R is equal to from first reaction, so K1 into Ca, its rate is positive since R is there on product side in the first reaction. In the second reaction R is there on reactant side, so automatically rate is negative, then write the minus K2 into Cr. So this is the net rate of the formation of R. Last one, S is there in the second reaction on product side, so its rate is positive, so here can be written as K2 into the Cr. Rs equal to rate of formation of S equal to K2 into Cr. So here we are going to discuss about the product distribution by treating these reaction components in two ways. Here consider the following two ways of treating a beaker containing A. So here the first one, initially take the bulk A into the beaker, and also before you treat this that means the reactive components in two ways. First assume that this reaction takes place in the presence of light. When you switch on the light, the reaction proceeds. When you switch off the light, reaction stops. So initially, so here initially that means for this reaction initial reactant is A. So treat this A in two ways. Initially take the bulk A into the beaker and pass the radiation uniformly throughout the beaker. That is the first case. So here the contents are uniformly radiated, and second one, from the beaker containing A, that means here remove the small portion of A with the help of the centrifugal pump and pass this into the glass tube and then pass the light So in this case the intensity of the light is more. When the intensity of the light is more, the reaction completes very quickly and fastly. So immediately from A we can have the production of R, immediately R disappears and produces S. So and whatever the products are obtained in the glass tube return to the beaker. So that is the second case. The second case, a small stream is continuously withdrawn from the beaker and irradiated. Irradiated means what? Passing the radiation, whatever the products you obtain and return to the beaker. So in both the case, rate of absorption of radiant energy in the both the cases are same, but the intensity of the light in the second case is more than the intensity of the light in the first case. Intensity of the light in the second case is more than the intensity of the light in the first case. But the radiant of, that means here absorption of the radiant energy in the both the cases are same. So here when you can see the concentration profiles for the first case. So here first case, initially take the bulk A into the beaker, initially take the bulk A into the beaker, and here you pass the radiation uniformly throughout the beaker. Initially take the bulk A into the beaker, first case, initially take the bulk A into the beaker and pass the radiation uniformly throughout the beaker. So for first bit of light, that means here the A absorbs the light energy and produces R, and here we can have the small amount of R within the reaction mixture. And for next bit of the light, so here within the that means the beaker, that means here we can have the high concentration of A and small concentration of R. Because of the high concentration of A, again A receives the light energy and produces some more R, If we keep on adding, if we keep on pass the light energy, that means here the A receives the light energy until the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of A. Until the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of A within the beaker, the A receives the light energy and produces that means here R. Whenever the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of the A within the beaker, from that point onwards, if we keep on pass the light, R receives the light energy and produces S. R receives the light energy and produces S. That is why, so here take the concentration of the reactant components, that is A, the R and S on the y axis, and here that means on the x axis take the that means the time when the since light is turned on. So when you observe this one, the concentration of A is gradually decreasing, and the concentration of R first increases until the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of the A. Once the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of A, that means here R receives the light energy and produces the S. So and then the concentration of R falls, and the concentration of S initially very small, and here whenever the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of the A, that means the concentration of S starts to increase from that point onwards. So when you here treat the beaker containing A in this way, generally we can see the two products, both R and S. But here initially the R concentration increases until the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of A. Whenever the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of A, R receives the light energy, immediately produces S. So this is one way of treating the beaker containing A. So here, that means here we can obtain the both products R and S. So the other way is, and the second way is, the second case, in here from the beaker with help of the centrifugal pump, here remove the small portion of the A. With help of the centrifugal pump, remove the small portion of A and pass this A into the glass tube. At this point, here pass the radiation. So in this case, the intensity of the light is very high. So the reaction completes fastly. At this here within the glass tube itself, from A we can have the formation of R. Immediately by disappearance of R we can get the S. Whatever the S we can obtain, immediately return to the beaker. So in this case, if we keep on, that means here removing the small portion of A from the beaker with help of the centrifugal pump, and pass to the glass tube, and then there you pass the light radiation. Because of the high intensity of the light, immediately reaction completes fastly and we can obtain the product S without forming the R. Without forming the R. So, the reaction that means here the beaker containing, once after the completion of the reaction, the beaker containing the product S and small portion of the A left within the beaker. So, here in this case without forming R, that means here we can maximize the formation of S. Now, similar to the previous one, again now take the concentration of A, concentration of R and concentration of S on the y axis, and take the time on x axis since light was turned on. Here in this case the concentration of A decreases and the concentration of S increases, and the concentration of R is approximately 0 within the beaker, almost 0. The concentration of R is almost 0, that is why this is lies on the x axis. This is lies on the x axis. This is the concentration of A profile, and this is the concentration of S profile, and this is the concentration of R profile. So, when you treat the beaker containing A in this that means in this way, so that means we can obtain the maximum formation of S without forming the R. So, but in this case both the cases that means the rate of absorption of light energy is light is same, but the light intensity in the second case is more than the light intensity in the first case. So, this is the qualitative the product distribution about this series reaction. Based on the that means the beaker containing A, when you treat this in two ways, we can obtain the different types of the product distribution. Second one, the qualitative product distribution in series parallel reactions. So, here consider the this combination of series parallel reaction. The first one here A plus B2 R and R plus B2 S. When you consider this combination of series parallel reaction with respect to the A, R and S, this becomes the series reaction. Here you can write this as A to R and R to S. And when you consider this reaction with respect to the B, R and S, here from B we can simultaneously obtain B to R and B to S. So, here this is the parallel reaction, second one, and first one is the series reaction. First one is the series reaction. So, here in this series combination of series parallel reactions, you can observe the both the reaction. Similar to the previous one, here also write the rates of the reaction for individual reacting components to predict the concentration profiles with respect to the time of the reaction. So, here first write the now before you write the rates of reaction for all the reacting components, and here first one write the rate constants. First reaction A plus B2 R, assume that reaction takes place in the presence of K1, and second one R plus B2 the S, reaction takes place in the presence of K2. Reaction takes place in the presence of K2. First here, first write the rate of reaction for A. Only A is there in the first reaction on the reactant side, its rate is negative. So, here minus into rate constant is K1 into concentration of reactants are A and B, Ca into Cb. This is the rate of reaction for A minus K1 into CaCb. As reaction proceeds, the concentration of A decreases with respect to the time of the reaction, that is why here we have the negative value. And also next one, write the rate of reaction for B. Here B is known as the net rate of B. Why? Because B is there on both sides here, that means in both the reactions on reactant side, again its rate is also negative. Again Rb equal to from the first reaction minus K1 into CaCb, from the second reaction minus K2 into CrCb. So, again as reaction proceeds, the concentration of B decreases. And next one, the R, that means rate of reaction for R. So, in R is there in both that means both reactions. In one first reaction R is there on product side, in second reaction R is there on second that means reactant side. So, write the RR as the net rate of the formation of A. In the first reaction, rate of formation of R is positive, that is K1 into CaCb. In the second reaction R is there on reactant side, its rate is negative, minus K2 into CrCb, minus K2 into CrCb. Again similarly, write the RS. RS is what? Net rate of formation of S. S is there in the second reaction on product side, again write K2 into Cr into Cb. So, here that means earlier also in the rate of formation of R, first one is positive and second one is negative. Here also first the concentration of R decreases and then increases and then decreases. That means the concentration of S increases with respect to the time of the reaction. So, with help of these rates of reaction, we can predict the concentration profiles of the reacting components with respect to the time of the reaction. So, here to find out the product distribution, that means here treat the reactants in three ways. First one, add A slowly to the B, and the second one add B slowly to A, and third one mix A and B rapidly together. So, if you that means here choose these different that means the patterns of the reactants, we can vary the product distribution. First one, add A slowly to the B, and second one add B slowly to the A, and third one mix A and B rapidly together. In the first one, initially take the bulk B into the beaker, for that add A slowly, and then you can obtain one type of the product distribution. In second one, initially take the bulk A into the beaker, for that add B slowly, then you can obtain the another type of the product distribution. And here, and third one, take the empty that means the reactor beaker, for that add A and B rapidly together, then you can obtain the some other type of the product distribution. Now, we will see these one by one. Next one, first case is add A slowly to the B. So, before you add A slowly to the B, first write the reaction here. The combination of series parallel reactions are A plus B to R and R plus B to S. Assume that in the first one is in the presence of K1, second one in the presence of K2. So, here in this case, initially take the bulk B into the beaker, for that add A slowly, So, for first bit of A reacts with B and produces small amount of R, Immediately what happens, whatever the R produced here, R immediately reacts with B, produces S, and produces S. Okay. Next one, for next bit of A again reacts with B, produces R, and R immediately reacts with B, produces S. If we keep on adding A, the concentration of B decreases and the concentration of R is approximately 0. Why? Because whenever the concentration, that means whatever the concentration of R produces, that immediately reacts with B, producing S, and the concentration of S increases, and here initially, that means here the concentration of A is we are adding, and here the concentration of A decreasing we are adding, and the concentration of B decreases, and the concentration of S increases and up to certain point, and then further maintains constant, from this point onwards it further maintains the constant. Why this is constant? Whenever the exhaust of B takes place, immediately what happens, S becomes the constant. There is no further B to react with A or that means the R to produce the S. So, here in this one, that means initially similar to the previous one, now take the concentration of the reactant components on y-axis A, B, the R and S, but R in this case is approximately 0, and take the that means here the moles of the A added on the x-axis, or you can take the x-axis time of the reaction. That means time of the reaction from the point onwards, it starts to adding the A. So, if we keep on adding A, that means the concentration of B decreasing and the concentration of S first increases until the exhaust of B. Once the exhaust of B takes place, further it maintains constant, and also here the concentration of R producing, here you can obtain in the x-axis, R is equal to 0. Okay. So, when you treat this that means adding A slowly to the that means beaker containing bulk B, you can obtain this way of the product distribution. Similar to second one, add B slowly to the A, So, again here take the bulk A into the beaker, for that add B slowly. Before adding this one, write reaction A plus B to R, R plus B to S, first one K1, second one K2, So, here that means for first bit of B, A reacts with B and produces small amount of R. R will not react with A, Immediately what happens, for next bit of B, so within the beaker we can have the high concentration of A and small concentration of B. Small concentration, that means for the next bit of B, within the beaker we can have the high concentration of A and small concentration of R. Again immediately what happens, B can have reaction with the R or B may be reacted with A. Because of the high concentration of A within the beaker, again for next bit of B also B reacts with A and produces some more R. If we keep on adding the B, that means what happens, that means B reacts with A until the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of A. Once the concentration of R is more than the concentration of A, from that point onwards if we keep on adding B, B reacts with R and produces S. B reacts with R and produces S. So here now similar to the earlier one, take the concentration of reaction components on y-axis AB, the RS on the y-axis, and take the that means the time since the B is adding to the A. Otherwise you can take the moles of B, that means the consumed during the reaction. So here from this onwards, time onwards, immediately what happens, the concentration of A is decreasing, that means within the beaker, and the concentration of R first increase until the concentration of A is greater than the concentration of the R. Once the concentration of R is greater than the concentration of A, B reacts with R and produces S. From that point onwards, the concentration of R decreases and the concentration of S slowly increases within the beaker. So when you treat the beaker in this way, that means for adding B slowly to the A, we can obtain this type of the product distribution. So with the help of this one of reacting flow patterns, we can maximize the desired product formation and we can minimize the formation of the undesired product. So next one, third one, mix A and B rapidly together. So here you take the one empty beaker, and for this one here add B, and here also add A rapidly together. So with the high flow rates, add A and B together. So what happens when you add A and B together? First one, A reacts with the B and produces R. So whatever the R produces, R immediately reacts with B and produces S and produces S. Okay. So if we keep on adding A and B, immediately what happens? B simultaneously reacts with A and B simultaneously reacts with the R and produces S. So in this case, generally what happens? So for this case, the same type of the product distribution we can obtain in which the A is added slowly to the B. So in this case, we can obtain the product distribution like this. Immediately what happens? The concentration of the A like this here we can obtain, and the concentration of B also rapidly we are adding together, and the concentration of R first here whatever the R that produces, that reacts with B and producing S. The concentration of the S increases and the concentration of R automatically 0. Why? Because the concentration of R is 0. So whatever the R, that means R that is producing, that is immediately reacting with B and producing S. So this type of the product distribution is similar to the when A is added slowly to the B. So here when you that means they treat the that means the both A and B that means by 3 different ways we can obtain the different types of the product distribution. In such cases we can maximize the formation of some product and you can minimize the formation of some other product. Next one, temperature and pressure effects on the multiple reactions. So that basically here already know that in the first unit, that means the temperature and pressure influence the rate of reaction and including the composition, but here we are going to see the effect of temperature and pressure on the multiple reactions. First one, the reaction and temperature and pressure influence the progress of reactions. The progress of reactions is nothing but extent of reaction, that is always says about how much amount of the reactants gets converted to the products. Second one, in that means here reactions, the equilibrium composition, the rate of reaction and product distribution are affected by the changes in reacting temperature and pressure. So here that means here because of the temperature, because of the effect of temperatures and pressures, we can have the variation rate of reaction, we can have the variation equilibrium composition. So particularly when you take the multiple reactions for reversible reactions, for reversible multiple reactions after a certain time we can have the equilibrium between the reactants and products at which the rate of forward reaction is equal to the rate of backward reaction. Once the reversible reaction obtains the equilibrium, whatever the concentrations of the reacting components are there, that is the reactants and products, those concentrations are known as equilibrium compositions. And also the product distribution, that means it is the ratio of desired product to the that means the formation of undesired product, and the rate of reaction. So, rate of reaction, the equilibrium composition and product distribution are affected by the temperature and pressure of the these reactions. And reactions generally usually, that means the associated with heat effects, that means here we must know how this will change the temperature of the reaction mixture. You already know that some reactions are exothermic in nature and some reactions are endothermic in nature. Because of this one, we can have the variations in temperatures of the reactions. And here the thermodynamics gives the two pieces of information, the first being the heat liberated or absorbed for given extent of the reaction, for given conversion of the reaction, the second being the maximum possible conversion. So, with help of the thermodynamics principles, you can find out the, for exothermic reaction, how much amount of the heat is liberating, for endothermic reactions how much amount of the heat is that means required or desired, and also you can find out for the given reaction, you can find out the maximum possible conversion with help of the thermodynamic principles. All these involves the and temperature and pressure as the that means the variables. So, the other one is, so heat of reaction from thermodynamics. So, in this one we are going to find out the heat of reaction at temperature T2 based on knowing the heat of reaction at temperature T1. So, before you go to find out the heat of reaction at temperature T2 or at desired temperature, first we should know the definition of heat of reaction. The heat of reaction is defined as the difference between the sum of the, that means the enthalpies of the products and the sum of the enthalpies of the reactants. So, heat of reaction is negative for endothermic reaction, heat of reaction is negative for exothermic reaction, and heat of reaction is positive for endothermic reaction. Heat of reaction is positive for endothermic reaction and heat of reaction is negative for exothermic reaction. And also here heat of reaction cannot be find out the absolute value. If you want to find out the heat of reaction, first we should have the reference value. Once if you know the reference value of heat of reaction at some temperature, based on that one you can find out the heat of reaction at a desired temperature. That means you can find out the heat of reaction, that means the change with respect to the reference value. So, heat of reaction cannot be find out the absolute value. So, consider reaction, the A moles of A reacting with that means here disappears and produces R moles of R and S moles of S. So, find out the heat of reaction at temperature T2 knowing the heat of reaction at temperature T1. So, here before you find out the heat of reaction at temperature T2 based on knowing the heat of reaction at temperature T1, that is reference value, first write the law of conservation of energy, that is heat absorbed, and also before you write the law of conservation of energy, assume the reaction is carrying out is endothermic reaction. This always requires the heat. Assumption, consider the endothermic reaction and also assume reaction temperature is T2 is greater than T1. T2 is greater than T1. So, heat of reaction required at temperature T2, assume that reference temperature T1 is lesser when compared to the T2. So, heat absorbed during the reaction at temperature T2, that is what for del HR2. Del HR2 is nothing but heat absorbed during the reaction at temperature T2, and also so here when you consider the T2 is greater than T1, assume that reactants are initially at high temperature. So, but the heat of reaction is known at temperature T1. So, we need to remove the heat from the initial reactants, that means here brought to the temperature T1. At T1 we are going to carry out the reaction. So, that means here heat, this is small mistake, heat removed from reactants to change the temperature from T2 to T1. Heat removed from reactants to change their temperature from T2 to T1 and carry out the reaction at temperature T1, that is heat absorbed during the reaction at temperature T1. This is the del HR1. And here we obtain the products at temperature T1, but we need the products at initial temperature of the reactants. Again you add the heat to the products to increase the temperature to T2 from T1. So again heat added to products to bring back the temperature to T2 from T1. But in this case, the final value is, final temperature is T1, initial temperature is T2. At final temperature T1, assume the enthalpy of the reactants are H1. Final value H1 minus H2 for reactants. This is reactants. H1 minus H2 reactants. And this is for products. Final value is T2, that is H2. At T2, assume enthalpy is H2 for the product. At T1, enthalpy is H1 for the product. So this is the product. So here find out the del HR2. Next one. So in terms of enthalpy, the previous one, this is the del HR2, heat absorbed during the del HR2, the heat absorbed during the reaction at temperature T2, and here the H1 minus H2 reactants, and here H2 minus H1 products, and this is the del HR1. Now here take the minus common, H2 minus H1 of the reactants, and this write as it is. So finally you can obtain del HR2 equal to, write this as the change in enthalpy of the products minus change in enthalpy of the reactant. Again this also the function of the del Cp. You already know that del H is equal to, this is m del Cp dt. Here take the m equal to 1 mole or 1 kg. Take the per unit mole of the reactant enters into the reactor. So in this case take m is equal to 1. Here then you write, when you put m equal to 1, this del H is equal to del Cp dt. Here write from T1 to T2. From T1 to T2. So here the enthalpies are strong functions of the temperature. Similar to the specific heat, also the strong functions of the temperature. Again here del Cp is nothing but R into Cpr, the stoichiometric quotient for product R, that is small r, and Cpr is the specific heat of the product R, and small s is stoichiometric quotient for the product S and Cps product S, and small is the stoichiometric quotient for reactant A and Cpa. So this is the del Cp. This is the del Cp. Okay, after applying the del Cp, substitute this into the previous equation, and before you substitute into the previous one, first write the, so these specific heats are also strong functions of temperature when Cp values are changing with the wide changes in temperature. In this case, when the Cp values are changing with the temperature, this is the universally followed relation. So for Cp is equal to alpha plus beta T plus gamma T square. This is the relation when the Cp specific heats are, the reacting components are varying with the temperature. This is the relationship between specific heat versus temperature. Here alpha, beta and gamma values depends on the reacting component, that whether that is the reactant or the product. So in this case specific heats are the functions of temperature. Here write Cpa is equal to alpha A plus beta A T plus gamma A T square. Similar Cpr equal to alpha R plus beta R T plus gamma R T square, and Cps equal to alpha S plus beta S T gamma S T square. And substitute all these quantities into the previous equation, del HR2 is equal to del HR1 plus T1 to T2, and substitute all these equations in place of the del Cp, right, R into the Cpr plus S into Cps minus A into Cpa into dt. So when you substitute all these quantity Cpa, Cps, Cpr, Cps into this equation and expand this equation, when you do the integration, you can find this, you are going to obtain this as del alpha plus del beta T plus del gamma T square. So here you can obtain del alpha as, when you substitute this equation here, del alpha equal to, del alpha you are going to obtain as R into del alpha you are going to obtain as R into alpha A plus S into alpha, the R into alpha, this R into this one alpha R, this one R into alpha R plus S into alpha S minus A into alpha A. This is the del alpha. Del beta is equal to R into beta R plus again S into beta S minus A into beta A, and you are going to obtain del gamma as R into gamma R plus S into gamma S minus A into the gamma A. So after this one, with help of the dt, if you do integration, if you integrate this equation, finally you can obtain this del HR2 is equal to heat of reaction at temperature T2 is equal to del HR1 plus del alpha into, after the integration when you substitute the upper limit minus lower limit, you can obtain del alpha into T2 minus T1. This is not containing any T term, on del beta by 2, that is T2 square minus T1 square, and del gamma by 3 T2 cube minus T1 cube. Actually this is before integration, this del alpha not containing not any association with the T, and before the integration this del beta associated with the T, after the integration this becomes the T square, and before the integration del gamma is that means in association with the temperature in terms of the T square, after integration that becomes the T cube. So here with help of this equation you can find out, once if you know the heat of reaction at temperature T2, you can find out the heat of reaction at the temperature T1. Once if you know the heat of reaction at temperature T1, you can find out the heat of reaction at temperature T2. Here similar we wrote this one here, del alpha equal to R into alpha plus S into alpha S minus A into alpha A, del beta equal to R into the beta R plus S into beta S minus A into beta A, del gamma equal to R into gamma R plus S into gamma S minus A into gamma A. Next one, effect of the equilibrium constants on the multiple reactions. These are conclusions drawn from thermodynamics. So first one says the second law of thermodynamics, that means the equilibrium constants or equilibrium compositions of the reacting systems can be calculated. So for multiple reactions, for reversible multiple reactions, equilibrium compositions or equilibrium constants can be calculated from the thermodynamic principles. And first one, so these are the conclusions drawn from the principles of the thermodynamics. The first the conclusion says that the thermodynamic equilibrium constant, that is K, is unaffected by the pressure of the system. It is unaffected by the presence or absence of the inerts, nothing but catalysts. It is unaffected by the kinetics of the reaction, but it is strongly affected by the temperature of the reaction or temperature of the system. When temperature changes, the equilibrium constant is also changes for multiple reversible reactions. This is the first conclusion. And second one, so the equilibrium concentration of the materials and equilibrium the conversion of the reactants can be influenced by both temperature and pressure. But earlier one, equilibrium constant is the strong function of temperature and it is unaffected by the pressure of the system. But when it comes to the equilibrium concentration of the materials, that is compositions, or the equilibrium conversion of the reactants to products, these are the strong functions of temperature and pressure. And the third point is, when equilibrium constant is very greater than 1, indicates that the practically complete conversion may be possible, and in that case reaction can be considered to be irreversible. But simultaneously, when the K is very less than 1, indicates that reaction will not proceed to the significant extent. Reaction will not proceed to the some appreciable extent, that is appreciable extent of the conversion of reactants to the products. So in this case conversions are very low when K is very less than 1. When K is very greater than 1, the complete conversion may be possible. In this case reaction can be considered to be reversible reaction. Next one, for increase in temperature, the equilibrium conversion rises for the endothermic reactions. For endothermic reactions, when you increase the temperature, the equilibrium conversion rises, and it drops for exothermic reactions. For exothermic reaction, when you increase the temperature, the conversion drops for exothermic reactions. On last one, when you take the that means for increase in pressure for gas reactions, gas phase reactions means for both reactants and products are in gas phase, the total number of moles decreases with respect to the reaction time, that means the conversion rises. When total number of moles of the products and the reactants decreases with the time of the reaction, the conversion rises. And when the total number of moles increases with the time of the reaction, the conversion drops. The conversion drops when total number of moles of the reactants and products increases with reaction. These are the 5 conclusions drawn from the, that means for the multiple reactions from thermodynamics. Here this shows the effect of that means the equilibrium constant on the multiple reactions. Last one here, the adiabatic operations. These are also called as non-isothermal reactions, in which the temperature is constant or not constant along the that means the reaction. So, non-isothermal means the temperature of the reaction is not constant along the length of the reaction or time of the reaction. So, here that means here the adiabatic operations. Adiabatic operations means what? The transfer of heat between system and surrounding is 0. The dq equal to 0. The transfer of heat is 0. The differential change in transfer of heat is 0 within the system is 0. And non-isothermal reactions are nothing but temperature is variable. Temperature is variable along the reaction. Along the reaction. But in this case, here for suppose when you take the that means how can you make the adiabatic operation? First consider a reactor, that is the PFR and MFR, provide the insulation over the surface of the reactor. After providing the insulation over the surface of reactor, carry out the exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction always takes place the liberation of heat. When it liberates the heat, if you are unable to remove the heat, immediately what happens? Because of the insulation provided over the surface, we cannot remove the heat immediately. Immediately what happens? The temperature of the reaction increases. So, the temperature is variable. So, instead of carrying out the exothermic reaction, suppose carry out the endothermic reaction, that also requires the heat from the outside. Suppose because of the insulation provided over the surface and also we cannot obtain the heat from the outside, immediately what happens? Reaction temperatures decreases with respect to the time. So, there also temperature is variable. So, here when you provide the insulation over the surface of the reactors, that means here to make the adiabatic operation, in which we can obtain the reactions as non-isothermal, in which the temperature is not constant along the time of the reaction. For that, consider either a mixed flow reactor or a plug flow reactor, a section of plug flow reactor, that means here based on the limiting reactant A, that means based on the limiting, assume the A as the limiting reactant, it limits in quantity, and that reactant is over, automatically reaction stops. So, here and subscripts 1 and 2 refers, the subscript 1 refers to the, that means the materials enters into the reactor, and subscript 2 leaves the that means the materials leaves out of the reactor. That is nothing but what? The subscript 1 and 2 refers to the temperatures of entering and leaving stream, not only to the temperature. You can write this for enthalpies, you can write this for specific heats. 1 refers to the quantities enters into the reactor, and 2 refers to the quantities leaves from the reactor. And also here write the and single dash. What is single dash here? We have the Cp dash and Cp double dash. Cp dash, single dash refers to the, that means here the quantities for unconverted reacted feed stream, unconverted reacted feed stream, and double dash refers to the completely converted this stream. Double dash refers to the completely converted stream. Okay. So, here first Cp dash and Cp double dash are the mean specific heats of the unreacted feed stream and completely converted the product stream per mole of the entering reactant A, per mole of the entering reactant A. Similarly, we can have the H dash and H double dash. H dash is the mean enthalpies of the unreacted feed stream and completely converted the product stream per mole of the entering A. And also next one is the del HRI. Del HRI is what? Heat of reaction, that means at a temperature Ti based on the unit mole of entering A. So, here consider the this is the MFR, here consider this is MFR and consider this is the PFR, and provide the insulation over the surface of the reactors and carry out the either exothermic reaction or endothermic reaction within the reactor. So, here when the reactant enters into the reactor, its conversion Xa0 is 0 and temperature is T1. When the reactant leaves from the reactor, that means here once the reaction takes place within the reactor, once after applying the products, when the products leaves from the reactor, consider the conversion as Xa and temperature is T2. Temperature is T2. Similarly, for the PFR, initial concentration Ca0 at temperature T1 and final conversion is Xa and temperature is T2 for the products. Okay. Here in this one you can carry out either exothermic reaction or endothermic reaction, and also here provided the insulation over the surface of both reactors to make the adiabatic operation. So, for first one, here write the enthalpies of the reactor. Before you write these enthalpies of the feed stream, write the energy balance equation. Energy balance equation is nothing but what? Energy balance equation is equal to energy balance equation for over the reactor, that means input energy equal to output energy plus energy accumulation plus energy disappearance due for the chemical reaction. Okay, here input energy is nothing but what? That means enthalpies of the reactants. The enthalpies of the reactants per mole of the A entering. So, here write the enthalpies of the entering feed, this is the input. Based on the reference temperature, consider the, so here to find out the enthalpies of the reactants, we should know the reference value. Then only we can find out the enthalpies. Here consider the reference temperature as T1. Reference temperature as T1. So, based on the reference temperature, find out the enthalpies of the feed stream, that is reactants. So, H1 dash is 1 is entering into the reactor, dash refers to the, that is unconverted reactant, that is unconverted feed stream. So, H1 dash, that is the enthalpy of the reactant enters into the reactor, equal to Cp dash into, consider M is equal to 1, is supposed to be MCP delta T, here consider M equal to 1, Cp dash into, the temperature is T1 and reference temperature is also T1, T1 minus T1, this becomes the 0 mole per A. Why? Because in this case, the temperatures of the reactants and reference temperature both are same. That is why he obtained as H1 dash equals 0. And enthalpies of the leaving stream, second one is the output. Here this is the output. That means the output is consists of, once the reaction takes place within the reactor, the output consists of the completely converted product and also unconverted reactant. We can have the two streams within the product output. First one is the completely converted product, the other one is the unconverted reactant. We can have the two streams. One stream is for unconverted reactant, the other stream is for completely converted product. So, in this case, output equal to first one, first write the completely converted. So, here first write the output is consists of two streams, unconverted reactant and plus the completely converted product. This is combination of two. So, first write the that means output for completely converted product stream. For completely converted product stream, write the H2 dash, and that means the product is leaving 2 and double dash is the completely converted into multiply with the conversion of A. The completely converted product depends on the conversion of A, and unconverted reactant and 2 leaving, and single dash refers to the unconverted into 1 minus XA. Now, convert this enthalpies to the specific heats by writing the MCP delta T and take M equal to 1 mole, then this becomes Cp double dash into T2 minus T1 XA, and also here write Cp dash into T2 minus T1 into 1 minus XA. This is the output. And next one, energy disappeared, that means at temperature Ti. So, energy absorbed by the reaction, this is equal to, again this depends on the conversion of A, that means here del HR1 into XA. When that means here energy absorption is more, conversion is more. If it is less, it is less. So, del HR1 into XA, that is joule per mole. And here this is the both MFR and PFR are steady state reactors for which the accumulation is 0. Accumulation of energy is 0 because of the steady state nature, joule per mole of the A. Accumulation is 0 because of the steady state nature. Substitute all these quantities back into the energy balance equation and do this certain mathematical manipulation. Finally, you can obtain this as, now write the energy balance equation is input equal to output plus accumulation plus disappearance equal to input is 0 and output is Cp double dash into T2 minus T1 XA. This is from the completely converted, and from unreacted feed stream Cp dash into T2 minus T1 XA, and from the heat disappearance, that is absorption, del HR into XA. From this one, expand this, that means here on right hand side expand that equation and write all the terms containing XA at one place and remaining terms take towards the left hand side and then solve for XA. XA we are going to obtain as Cp dash into T2 minus T1 divided by minus del HR1 minus Cp double dash minus Cp dash into T2 minus T1. Finally, we are going to obtain as Cp dash into delta T by minus del HR1 minus Cp dash double dash minus Cp dash into delta T. This can be written as, so in place of this one here you can write this as del Cp. So, in place of this one you can write this entire term, this becomes the minus del HR2. Heat of reaction at temperature T2. Once if you know the heat of reaction at temperature T1, and earlier we derived this already denominator equation, this becomes the minus del HR2. Then this equation becomes XA is equal to Cp dash into delta T by minus del HR2. This is equal to Cp dash into delta T is what? Heat needed to rise the reactant's temperature to T2, and divided by denominator is heat released by reaction at temperature T2. So, the conversion of the reactant depends on the heat released by the reaction and also heat required to rise the temperature of the reactants to T2. So, sometimes when you take the XA is equal to 1, the both becomes are same. When you take in place of the XA, when you put 1, minus del HR2 equal to Cp dash into delta T, that means what? Whatever the heat that means released by the reaction itself, that heat itself is enough to rise the temperatures of the reactants to the T2. Rise the temperatures of reactants to the T2. Okay, this is the case when XA is equal to 1. That means here we can complete conversion possible. Whatever in this case, whatever the that means the reaction releases the heat, that heat itself is enough to rise the temperatures of the reactants to the T2. And also here we can have the graphical representation of the energy balance equation for adiabatic operations. Take the conversion of the reactant on y-axis and take the temperature on x-axis. And for the that means here the middle vertical line is this is for constant temperature, that is isothermal curve, in which the conversion is that means the constant. And here next one for the exothermic reactions, on the left hand side we have the exothermic reaction, on right hand side we have the on left hand side we have the endothermic reaction, on right hand side we have the exothermic reaction. For exothermic reaction, when you increase the temperature, immediately what happens? The conversion is rising. The conversion is rising. Again, for exothermic reaction, del HR is negative, del HR is less than 0. For the same exothermic reaction, when you increase the concentration of the catalyst, again the conversion rises some more levels, some more that means higher values. When you decrease the concentration of the catalyst or inert, again this falls below the somewhat actual curve. Okay. For exothermic reaction, when you increase the temperature, the conversion rises. When you increase the concentration of the catalyst, the conversion rises. When you decrease the concentration of the catalyst, the conversion slightly reduces. And here, so for exothermic reaction, when you increase the temperature, the conversion is rising. But when you decrease the temperature, the conversion is falling backwards. When you decrease the temperature, the conversion is falling. For endothermic reaction, when you decrease the temperature, the conversion is rising. When you decrease the temperature, the conversion is rising. And also for increase in units, the conversion for increase in concentration of the catalyst, conversion rises slightly. For decrease in the concentration of catalyst, conversion falls slightly below the actual curve. Again for increase, when you increase the temperature, again the conversion falls. This is the reverse case. When you increase the temperature, the conversion falls. When you decrease the temperature, the conversion rises. For endothermic reactions for which the del HR is greater than 0. So, all these are about the design principles for non-isothermal reactions, but actually this is not the desired or expected condition in the industry. Suppose when you that means here when the temperature of the reaction is variable, that means we cannot obtain the uniform product quality. We cannot obtain the uniform product quality.